sex. However, enough of that. The spouses of the people who went to Riverview will spare me a little time here. Bear with us. I'd like to do a little reminiscing. Now, if I'm paid enough, I'll promise not to reveal certain secrets here. Like, who was too drunk to play Santa Claus at the Christmas lit? Or who streaked through the halls during period 2 one morning? Or who had the beer up in the catwalk? Oh, how do we find some answers to these if I pose it this way? Or, that Sunday afternoon when I came back to school, that couple out in the car behind the school. It must seem very private back there on a Sunday. You never suspect the teacher being in the staff room. But I promise not to reveal those things. Although I still have the Polaroid pictures. And intend tonight to turn them over. Price is right. There was a bridge over troubled water. I used to tease, people used to get mad. I deliberately said Garvin and Siphuncle. Blaine Bechtel would always correct me. There were the Razorbacks. I wonder how many people here know the Razorbacks were. Was Gordy Mitchell really the coach of the Razorbacks? But I think some of the players I remember are Marilyn Simonek, Burl Ratcliffe, Brenda Griffith, and Val Gladys. But I think they should have been playing tackle because they looked pretty good. There was Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven. People in music stores still have to listen to young music players that come in and punk out Stairway to Heaven as they try out guitars. There were those 2 rebellious SRC leaders, John and Kathy. You know, that was the first year students got the idea that they could have ideas. And that they counted for something. This was poor Mr. Bratton's first year, I believe, as a principal. And these people certainly made it uncomfortable. And I think that was the last year also that I was advisor to the SRC. Because John would come up to my room and he'd say, I got a problem with Mr. Bratton. And then we'd work out a strategy how to deal with Mr. Bratton. This wasn't really my role. See, the advisor to the SRC is really supposed to defuse all these problems. I mean, that's what they put you there for. I remember one time, it was something to do with a dance. They wouldn't let us have the dance till midnight, or wouldn't let us have a live band, or wouldn't let you bring a case of beer. And I forget exactly what the problem was. But I think John set up a dance at a hall, the Ukrainian hall. They're on Little Weather, 9th, one of those ones. I helped him work out a few details in that, but I think it was mostly John's doing it. I'm not responsible for all the trouble that happened there. What a good time. There was me and Bobby McGee and Janice Joplin. There was Bartholomew. Whatever happened to Bart? He's there. For many years he disappeared. He disappeared. Nobody knew. We thought he'd been kidnapped by Central. There was Jumpin' Jack Flash and Hey Jude. And then around the time you were in high school, I think the Beatles broke up. History. There was a film club we started that year, or the year before. I can never remember, but it was 70, 71, 69, 70. But Wade Babiuk and Vic Boyer, Brian McKenzie, Priscilla Linnick, Marion Schuett were some of the people I worked with. We started showing films in the school. Eventually we got a very good system there. And had stereo sound coming out of the roofs. And a great screen, good movies, $3, what more could you ask? We made money, you know. Donated it to the school to buy projectors and racks for the books in my room. We had fright nights where we'd show horror films from 7 o'clock to midnight. And the bats would come out of the roof. One time they did anyway, so that was terrific. There was Creedence Clearwater Revival. It had to be one of the best groups around at that time, with Bad Moon Rising and Who'll Stop the Rain and Out by Back Door. There was Gordy Mitchell at every game in the gym, cheering him on. Then there was Diane Cragnell and Susan Kishio laughing together at the same time. Made you glad when the bell rang, you could go back in your class. You people were the first hippies in Riverview, and again, I don't know if the culture shock's ever really worn off some of the staff members. I mean, Roy and Chrysler, you know? Roy and Chrysler had these really narrow-waisted pants and narrow thighs, and then flared down at the bottom, and brilliant shirts, and long hair. I think Roy and Mike Cook and Bill Martin had the best hairdos. Longer than Miranda Griffith. Then there were the mustaches and beards. Blaine Beckville had a mustache. Mike Pankow had a beard and a mustache. Where's Mike, by the way? He should be here, you know. Everybody around 2 o'clock in the morning should phone Mike or drop over to his place just to check up. And then people were wearing sideburns. Some of them came down flared out, kind of matched the flare in your pants. Jim Mowry had a good set, Dale Zimmerman, but I had a pretty good set too then. Mr. Ferrer, I think, had a champion sideburn. And the colors we wore, like these wild checks and these stripes and burnt oranges and everything. Like, do you remember this tie? I look at it now, did I wear that in public? And mini skirts. Who can forget mini skirts? Then there was Tommy and Pinball Wizard with the Who, and Easy Rider, and Rod Stewart. I'd never heard of Rod Stewart until I was teaching grade 12 and Blaine brought me this gasoline alley. He used to bring me LPs. He's trying to educate me, you know, away from Robert Brown and Robert Frost. So he'd bring me these LPs. Have you heard of this guy? I says, no. He said, well, take it home. He's really, really good. I take it home, listen to Rod Stewart, back the next day. Blaine, somebody stepped on his throat. You must got a grow on me. What's that one? Throat cancer? And we had perhaps the best senior boys basketball team this school's ever had for a couple of years there. I'm probably going to miss some people because I'm working from memory. There was Walt Charcone, who had to be one of the dirtiest basketball players who could get away with it. Didn't fall out too much. And Ron Richardson, Gaylord Stiles, and Fred Margaret, Jim Mowry, Dave Newstead, second dirtiest, Dave Newstead. He was first in sweating. Mike Gettysburger and Larry Lawrence. So forgive me if I missed some of the members, because that was a heck of a team, and that was a team that I hardly ever missed seeing. Although often I was watching them up in the projection booth because I didn't have to take notes. Because I could slip away and do some marking when the score got bad. You know, we were ahead 30 points or so. Well, it's good to see so many of you here. And it's been interesting to see how many of you are married to Riverview grads. Annie Zimbowski and Jim Mowry, the Nichols and Jackie Funk, Barbara Bryan and Mike Gettysburger, Jay Hemming and Gord Mitchell. But there are some people who aren't here, and I think I'll close by dedicating this poem to them. There are many poems of this sort. Teachers write about dead students, how brave and sweet, how fine they were, before the instant metal of the bomb, or the steed reared to shed them on stone, before the plunge from the bridge to save the drowning child. And you, Art and Dawn, my dead students, no horses, bombs, or bridges sanctify your dying. No almost greatness to lament. No catalogue of graces to recite in rhyme. Unadorned, the truth is this. You never cared to chew the offered courses, played back row rebel when the risks were low, burned like fuses for dynamite weekends. So out you went, unbent by us, assaulted calendars and clocks, fought Mondays to a standstill with women, booze, and cars. Nowhere left a fingerprint of sentimental use. Dawn, Russell the bulldozer, runs it up a rain-slick grade, the metal cleats spit mud, the snout tilts, hovers, then rears to spike him in the softened earth. Art, dons LSD, motorcycles on luminous early morning mists, hurtles down a hill into a sleepy herd of highway crossing cattle. Alive, he would laugh at this. The irony that each needed the other's vehicle. The Harley to shoot the slope, the tractor used at last to justify its name. With what we call warped humor, you would be laughing still if you saw me here at 2 a.m., my work undone, surprised at being a teacher who writes about dead students. Thank you.